Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. So, it turned out that Paulina was not responsible for Chanel's miscarriage. I can't exactly remember what kind of diagnosis that they said it was, but pretty much, long story short, they basically was like that child was never going to make it. And so they hug it out, and, eventually Johnny and Chanel go back to the mansion. And also, Johnny lost out on that movie project, which, to be honest, you lose a child, I think that's probably the last thing that you're thinking about anyway. But they decide they're gonna stay in Salem, which I don't, I don't know how to feel about that. The problem is that I don't think that Chanel's actually a bad character. I just think that Johnny is a huge disappointment for being a demerit because they put Chanel in some good stories before. They kind of mellowed her out a little bit too much, but they put her in some good stories. And you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I'm actually disappointed by that. I'm actually disappointed by it was like some sort of natural cause because I think it would have been much more interesting and much more of an impact if it did have something to do with the radiation poisoning. Because you would have really saw her struggling with her just even talking to her and trying to meet somewhere in the middle and maybe eventually getting back to where they were. And so it's like any potential story that they would have did just didn't happen. I don't know. It's kind of unfortunate in a lot of ways. I felt like it would have been some really good drama. Um. Okay. So Kate comes over Abe's place and they talk about making a TV show. And at first, you're like, oh, let's do cops or whatever. It's like, oh, well, we can't do one as good as Law and Order. And I'm just like, okay, all right. But then Abe is like, I've been really hooked on this show called Body and Soul. And she's like, you mean that soap opera? And this is where things get kind of meta, and it's actually pretty funny because there's points where Abe is like, I know they sit there and talk about how soap opera is a dying genre, and like, kind of is a little bit, and how certain other shows borrow elements from soap operas, which is very true. So it was kind of like a little tongue-in-cheek thing, but I did find it actually pretty funny. And they decide that they want to produce a soap opera. The best way to sit there and describe it is like Seinfeld. Remember when Seinfeld and George decided to do a pilot about their lives? It was like it was very meta. That's the best way I could sit there and describe it. But of course, when she does talk to Kayla, they realize that the show is canceled. But if they go through with it, I can see it being kind of funny. Um, and it's weird because it's like soap opera humor is very hit and miss. But I think something like that, for some odd reason, just actually works for me. Now, um, Jada, Steve actually came to the precinct because Jada was going to go down there. He was like, "Hey, listen, I saved your trip," and she was like, "All right, so the thing is, I'm gonna have to charge you, for you breaking out Clyde." Um, and talks about how the deal didn't fall through yet. And Jada's like, you better hope and pray to whatever God that you pray to, because if this deal doesn't go through, you're looking at I would sit there and probably say a minimum of 5 years. Um, so it takes some mug shots and everything like that, and eventually he winds up going to the courthouse, which you never see because, to be honest, do we really need to sit there and see that? Um, While that's going on, you got Stephanie. Well, Stephanie got called by Marlena. Marlena's like, I think that maybe you can help Everett with this whole DID thing. So they get down there and they try to talk to Everett. Of course, at this point, you're just talking to Bobby the Dick. And Bobby, he wants no parts of her. Okay, he wants no parts of her. He mocks her, says she's entitled, I ain't into you, all this, that, and the third, sit there and try to really get on her skin. And apparently, it works because there's one point where Stephanie grabs him like, you bastard, let him out or whatever. Um, and at that point, Melina just kind of just shut it down and they wind up leaving. And then Everett is arguing with Bobby to sit there and let him out and let him talk to, um, let him talk to Stephanie and everything. And of course, Bobby just keeps saying, I'm doing this for his protection. I'm doing this to sit there and protect him and everything. So Stephanie realized that, you know what? I can't get through to him. And the reason why she can't get through to him, she goes to Jada and she's like, I need your help, is because at this point, you're talking to Bobby. And Bobby is the one that really has a thing for Jada. I mean, if we're going to be honest. I think that both of them should have a thing for Jada because she's always fine, but whatever. So she goes down to the station, she gets her, she's like, I need your help as far as, you know, the whole Bobby Everett thing. And it just kind of ends there. Then Paulina does go back to the house and tell Abe that, they found out the reason why she had the miscarriage. It's unfortunate. It didn't have anything to do with me. Now, I'm not going to lie. In the beginning, and I knew I probably skipped this part. In the beginning, after they're about to leave the hospital, Paulina shows up. And Paulina's like, oh, I want to sit there and just apologize again. I'm like, Paulina, what you don't understand is that this is for you. You keep sitting there saying you want to apologize to make her feel better. You want to make yourself feel better. Okay? And you are going about it in just a shit way. There's no other way to sit there and put it. Stop trying to absolve yourself, trying to absolve your own guilt, and just, when she's ready to talk to you, she'll talk to you. And then, she even sit there and say, well, if you don't want to sit there and talk to me anymore, I'll understand. I was like, that's not the case because we're right here. You can clearly see that she wants no parts of you. But of course, it doesn't really matter because, like I said, it was natural causes. It didn't have anything to do with her. But again, I feel like it's a missed opportunity. Yeah, let me see if there's anything else. Damn it, I knew I forgot something. This is exactly why I have notes. So there's a point where Jada is interrogating Steve and, he tells his story again and she's like, that story just seems like BS. You tell me that you did this all by yourself. Ava didn't have anything to do with it. John didn't have anything to do with it. It shows somebody else in a hazmat suit. So, I mean, what's going on? And of course, Steve was like, do you have any proof that I hadn't accomplished? She's like, no. I'm like, I could have swore you just said you did, but okay. Then we know that John is in Greece paying his respects to a woman he doesn't even know if he actually took out. Because, that just makes sense. Listen, I get it. The actor wanted to go on break. Cool. More power to him. I respect that. I definitely want him to go on break. I just find it to be just kind of dumb the way that they did it. I mean, at one point he was going to go to Greece to turn himself in for a crime he didn't even know if he committed. Then people talk you out of it, but now, whatever. Anyway, I feel like that's about it for the most part. I can't think of anything else, but if I do think of something, come to the live stream tonight. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll talk about water shows. Days of Our Lives, General Hospital, Bold and Beautiful, and Young and Restless. With that being said, I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next video.